2020, I really started to dive into nature photography. Yes, I had done it in the previous years to a pretty good extent, but this year I really focused on composition. I tried some new subjects, and I've really focused on being intentional with my photography and dedicating a large majority of my free time to photography. I went out a lot more than I did last year, and in return, I captured a lot of great images that I'm very proud of. So basically, I got it down to 10 images, but I really don't know if I can rank those. It's hard to put them in order because I love them all so much. They're from thousands of images I've taken this year. I was able to get it down to these 10. So these are in no particular order. So let's just get into the first one. All right, so here we are. This is my first successful attempt at astrophotography. It was a 20-minute exposure. Therefore, you can see the star trails. I really, really like this image. It's a really interesting subject with the pond and the nice trees. I wish I had included a bit more of the reflection, but it was dark. It's hard to compose compositions in the dark. So I'm still pretty proud of it. Um, I had some accidental light pollution spill onto the trees, but it was actually kind of nice. It kind of created the perfect amount of light on the trees and kind of balanced it with the sky. So it almost looks like a daytime exposure or like an early morning to an extent. It was taken at like 11 p.m. at night. Um, so yeah, like I said, 20-minute exposure, which created the nice star trails and provided some nice light on the tree. I did have to do quite a bit of dodging and burning, and it's not perfect. There's some weird highlight spots that I couldn't get rid of, like these highlights are blown out. Um, just some weird artifacting, but I don't think it's very easy to see, and I just really like the image. So moving to my next one, this is one of my favorite bird photography images of the year. Um, Not sure if it's in perfect focus. I think it is. I might have missed it a bit, but nonetheless, I still really like the subject. I believe this is a. I'm not best at identifying birds yet. That's a New Year's resolution of mine, but I believe it's a tufted titmouse or something. It was really. It's a very small bird, very hard to capture. It moved really fast, I remember, and I found it really interesting how it can climb vertically up this tree. So I was able to capture this shot with my Canon 600mm f11. Kind of capture it walking vertically up the tree. It was backlit, which is usually not good for birds, but it was the perfect exposure to where I could recover the highlights enough and pull up the shadows to create a dynamic looking image. So once again, one of my favorite bird images, and just a really cool scene overall. Uh, All right, next we have another bird shot. Um, this is a hawk, and this was just taken in a local park, and it was just standing there, majestically, extremely just good light, and it's just a hero image. It's just a majestic hawk looking up at the horizon, looking out, kind of kind of look into the future. It gives a good message. It's on this nice branch, and the background falls nice and out of focus. It's just a really good image. I did blow out some highlights, but still, I think it actually suits the hawk well. It illuminates it nicely, kind of almost like a spotlight. Um, Provides some nice separation from the background, as well as the nice blur you can see. Good colors as well. The sky is a little bit of that annoying blue color, but I really like the color of the leaves in the background. So yeah, that's another one of my favorites. I really dove into bird photography this year. Um, it's been one of my favorite things to shoot. So you'll see a lot of those in this. Whew, this one to me just screams fall. I I really really like this image. It looks very complicated, but the way I captured it was very easy. I was actually doing some handheld photography, which is something I actually rarely do. I was taking a hike with some family members, and I saw a little twinge of light perfectly hitting this leaf from the back, so it was kind of backlighting it, and everything else around it was dark. So I stopped down to get a good exposure on the leaf, and I got this shot. It was shot on a 24mm lens at f4, but yet it still created this amazing bokeh in the background. And the fall colors really create that amazing bokeh look. And you've got these two trees kind of framing the leaf, and you can see how bright the leaf was based on how dark these branches were. Um, and it's just really screams fall to me, and it's my favorite fall image I've ever taken. I really love it. And it's just a great image overall. My favorite part has to be the bokeh in the background. To be honest, it really provides a nice background for this leaf, and really allows you to get nice separation. And I really, I think I really nailed the focus on this image. You could see all the elements of the leaf, a nice crisp focus, and it's just a great image. One of my favorites. Okay, so this next one here may not be technically perfect, but this is one of those cases where the story behind the image outweighs the technical aptitude of it. So this is a barred owl. This is actually the second time in a week I came across this barred owl. The previous shot was unfortunately out of focus and very noisy, but this one was not. So I was walking down one of my favorite bird trails, and here he was, just staring right at me in the middle of the day. Um, so I pulled out my 600 millimeter. I was able to capture this shot. It's not perfect. He's backlit heavily, so I had to do a lot of dodging and burning, a lot of shadow pulling. So it's not the best light. It may not be perfect focus because I had to bring that ISO up, but it's still an amazing shot. And this is a very rare bird, especially in the area that I live. So I'm just really proud that I was able to capture it. Um, yeah, so maybe not the best technical shot, but I really liked it. This owl is very important to me because it was kind of when I started wildlife photography. He was one of the first birds I was able to shoot. So yeah, it's another one of my favorites. So this has to be my favorite intentional camera movement shot of the year. So if you don't know what intentional camera movement is, it's when you do a long shutter speed and move the camera in order to create nice blur. So this was kind of created accidentally, not even intentionally. So I was at a sunset, and it was really just a very flat scene. There was a little bit of color, but I couldn't really get any normal shots. So I just waved my camera around for 30 seconds, not even intending to do an ICM. And I came up with this shot, and it's my favorite abstract I've ever taken. Beautiful lines, beautiful colors, and it really just encapsulates a sunset for me. I just really love it, and it really has a painterly look. Um, I just love it. I think it's a great shot. That's all I can say about it. Great colors, great lines, great abstract look, and that really captures the essence of ICM for me. All right, next we have definitely my favorite flower photo of the year. This was shot on my 7200 f4 before I sold it, which is a great lens. I didn't really need the use for it, so I sold it, but it was great for macro. I shot it at f8 to get a nice focus on the flower, and as you can see, it's nice and sharp. Um, and I just really love the separation from the background. You've got this nice bug here, a little ant over there. I just like how the focus kind of protrudes out from the flower since I focused directly centered on it. It's definitely my favorite flower photo. I love the texture, I love the colors, I love the lines, and it shows you that you can shoot so many things in nature photography. There's no reason for you to limit yourself to landscapes or limit yourself to macro. Um, you can just shoot whatever you want, and just create complex scenes no matter what. It could be the smallest flower up to the biggest landscape. So moving on to this next one, this is one of my favorite summer images, and this is captured in Sleeping Bear Dunes National Park. Or in the summer, I go up to this area for like usually 4 or 5 weeks, and it's these beautiful sand dunes on the beautiful Lake Michigan, and this really captures that whole area for me. So starting down here, you've got the nice texture in the sand, kind of providing a nice leading line up to this interesting curve I found. And then it leads you to this nice sand hill. So I did have to do a bit of reconstruction because this was an exposure blend, so I had to delete some parts of the scene. And you can maybe see a little bit of that artifacting here. But overall, I just really love this picture, and it really encapsulates the part of Michigan that I go to for me. Um, just overall, it's outstanding image in my opinion. Really out of the box. It's kind of not your typical landscape. I think I shot it at 24 millimeters, still giving you that nice wide angle look, but really just providing great elements to the scene. And this was really the first good exposure bracket I implemented into my photography workflow. So I'm really proud of it, and it's going to go down as one of my favorites for sure. Okay, next, you've got the only black and white I've included in here. The reason I don't do as much black and whites is because color has always been more interesting to me. But I thought this scene really suited it. So this is like a double waterfall. Um, and this is really just your classic waterfall shot. I shot this at 35 millimeters, so not your typical wide, but it still has that wide look. You've got your nice leading line of the waterfall leading up to the additional one, and just really creating a nice scene. I just love this image. This is classic waterfalls for me. Uh, I won my first photography award with a waterfall shot, and waterfalls just always have an important place in my heart. It was a nice long exposure look. And this was on a simple March day. This was actually at the start of quarantine, so you also got those memories there. You've got the nice texture in the rocks, the nice, the nice water flow, and just overall, just a great image. I remember a lot of processing went into this image. I just learned Photoshop, so I was doing focus stacking. I was using dodging and burning, all kinds of stuff to make this image as great as it could possibly be. So this next one is really on here. Number one, because I think it's a good image, but number two, because it really kicked off 2020 for me. I believe I took this in January, and this was the first time when I got my ND filter, which really led to my serious landscape photography. So this is just a local creek near my house, and it has these beautiful rapids. So I was able to capture this nice long exposure. There's not really a clear subject, but the overall scene creates a very interesting image, in my opinion. This is a 6-stop filter, so this would probably have been about a 2-second exposure, I believe, something around that range. I just really like how it turned out. Nice colors, just a really nice scene, and it just really was kind of the beginning of my serious nature photography. So those are my top 10 images of 2020. I hope you enjoyed them. I really put a lot of work into these images. And really all the images I did this year, I really stepped up my nature photography game, in my opinion. And 2021 is going to be even better. So I'm going to be doing a lot more content, a lot of big projects coming. So keep an eye out for that. Just kind of before I go here, I just want to kind of tell you what's on deck for 2021. So first of all, I got a film camera. You can actually see it behind me there. It's a Canon AE1, so it's a 35 millimeter film camera. I'm going to be shooting some film on that soon. And I will show the results on YouTube, of course, and maybe even on my Instagram if I like the images. So I'm very excited for that. That's going to kind of open up my photography umbrella. So that'll be great. And also, I'm working on the website, so it's in the early stages still, but it's going to be very cool. I will say that. So yeah, those are kind of the two things I'm really excited about in 2021. I'm going to continue the podcast. We're starting season 2 next week, so keep your eye out for that. That'll be fun. We're kind of doing a revamp, like a logo rebrand, and we're going to try to step up the content for that. We're going to do more clips and stuff, so be ready for that if you enjoy the podcast, and make sure you check it out. It'll be linked down below. Everything will be. So yeah, so those were my favorite images of 2020. Thank you guys for being with me this year. It's been a great year. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.